Well, I've just been to West Papua. I went there at the beginning of February as part of a human rights shadow fact-finding mission.
In West Papua, there are numerous accounts of extrajudicial killings, torture, arbitrary arrest and detention. And part of the problem is that because it's such a restrictive area, there isn't independent international organisations or foreign journalists allowed to enter West Papua. It's very difficult to verify what has happened in such circumstances.
At the age of pretty much less than 2 years old, when my mom took me and my older sister and we fled across to Papua New Guinea and we settled in a refugee camp near Vanuatu.
Well, the situation in West Papua is desperate. People are still being killed. They're being tortured and abused. We're seeing political prisoners who are there for no other reason than they've sought to express their views on the direction of their country.
It is the survival of the fittest, basically, to live in a refugee camp.
Well, to tell you the truth, it's worse than I thought it was. I've come away with a feeling of sadness and anger that people so close to Australia in this day and age can still be treated as they are. To me, it was like stepping back 20 years when I first went to East Timor. The same feeling of fear, of control, of suspicion pervaded every meeting and every place I went to.
One of the emblematic cases of abuse in West Papua occurred in December 2014 when security forces opened fire on a demonstration and 5 people were shot and killed. Some of those killed and injured were actually high school students still in their school uniforms. Now, while the Indonesian president did announce an investigation into this abuse, more than a year has passed. No suspects have been arrested, and the results of that criminal investigation have not been made public.
It was a picked group of people, so they were invited to come. There were no open meetings. The next day, the priest who hosted the meeting was summoned to the police station and was asked what the meeting was about, why was it held.
There's been a huge demographic transformation / catastrophe in West Papua. From the position in 1971 where Melanesians made up 96% of the population to the situation today where they make up less than half that.
The transmigration process whereby Javanese settlers went to Papua to settle and work was a very deliberate attempt by the Indonesian government to dilute the local population.
So nowadays the spontaneous migrants are a huge portion of the people coming into the region, and a lot of them intend to or will find employment and are sponsored by the oil palm plantation companies who would prefer to hire non-Melanesian workforce rather than the local people. So the local people not only losing their land, but they are not gaining employments and the benefits that might bring.
So West Papua is pretty much an entangled world where the foreign investment in West Papua really plays a big role, where when you talk about just mining, that's one element, but then there's the forestry, and then there is the fishing industry, and that all comes together. It's really complex to really break it all down.
There's been multiple reports on the logging industry in West Papua, and they all indicate that the military is involved in facilitating all aspects of them, and that the military receive payments for that.
And basically those mining companies use the military to provide security and to stop local people from protesting, and that has led to massive human rights abuses.
And so it's worked hand in glove. The deforestation of West Papua has worked hand in glove with the militarisation and corruption of West Papua.
Government give permit for foreign company around 15 million hectares. They're cutting down the native forest, and then the burning, and then after the plant the palm oil.
Every place I went to, the climate change was brought up and the effects of climate change on a people who live so close to the land and who can read the land and whose culture and sustenance has come so much from the land. But it was shown to me in graphic detail when I went to the place where the church has disappeared. It has the erosion because of the rise of the seas. The church and the cemetery have disappeared into the sea.
2015, there occurred on the island of New Guinea, in both PNG and West Papua, a drought and severe frosts. And the frosts ended up killing the sweet potato crop across large areas of the Highlands region, which the people are very dependent on. It's their staple food. The PNG government clearly put this down as a consequence of climate change.
Forest in Papua is the biggest in the world, after Amazon, Congo, and now in Papua. Now in Indonesia, in the west part, like Sumatra, Kalimantan, and Sulawesi, forest is gone.
Definitely there is a big change in the weather and also the climate, especially the days are becoming hotter in around West Papua, and people they can't even walk in the street, and there is a lot of the lakes, small creeks are drying up, so the heat during the day you can't last for more than an hour just to walk down the street. A lot of people, especially the mamas, are collapsing. They thought that it's just because of hydration or it's just because of illness, but they didn't realize the temperature have increased drastically.
The forest fires across Indonesia were the worst ever recorded and produced haze that drifted into neighbouring countries and created severe health problems for thousands or if not millions of people. So it's a problem for the Indonesians as well. And the type of development they're mooting in Indonesia and in fact in West Papua and are in fact undertaking now are completely counterproductive for the West Papuan environment, for the Indonesian people and for the climate of the planet.
Cutting down the forest can give impact for climate change because release the carbon, right? 15 million hectares. 15 million hectares cutting down the forest, native forest. And then can release the carbon and give impact to climate change in the world. Since 2005, people in Papua already campaigned that save the forest in Papua and then sometimes we save the people.
And another thing that was said that made my spine tingle was exactly the same statement that was made to us years ago in Timor. They want our land, they do not want our people. And that is as apparent, it's as real as I'm sitting here. That is there. Those people are being erased from their land.
Many West Papuans believe they're suffering a genocide under Indonesian rule. It's beholden on signatories of the Convention to investigate these claims. When a nation state such as the Solomon Islands or Vanuatu ask for these claims to be looked into, it should be beholden on the UN and other signatories to examine them thoroughly. And it should be a responsibility of Indonesia to allow access to prove or disprove these claims.
Now Papua people lose everything. They lose the home, they lose the market. It seems like we want to kill them.
Countries that are concerned about human rights violations in West Papua really need to let the Indonesian government know that it can't remain as business as usual and that the Indonesian government needs to take proper, tangible steps to address these abuses. And the first step would be opening up access to West Papua.
Bye.